Good morning and welcome to a series of conversations about Moving Communities platform. Moving Communities is the monitoring and evaluation for the National Leisure Recovery Fund. And today I'm joined by Utku, who's going to talk to us about how 4global and the DataHub have been part of creating the platform. So how are you today, Utku?
Thank you very much, Dave. Great to be here. Really good.
Good to see you. And it seems very quiet in your office at the minute.
Yeah, still, we don't have many people coming back from lockdown, but hopefully soon with the opening, we might get some more people into the office.
Brilliant. It's always really busy in your office normally when I talk to you, so a bit of a difference for today. So could you just give us an idea, just tell us about 4global, the DataHub, and what your role's been in creating this Moving Communities platform.
Sure. So since the start of the lockdown last year, we've been working really closely with Sport England in helping them with building the business case for the government to actually understand the scale and impact of our sector, to provide some funding and support to help with the recovery of the sector as well. So in the first stages of that, it's been more about how do we show how big the sector is, what impact it's generating, and what it means for the sector to be in the lockdown and what support is needed. So when that business case is created and the government decided to provide this funding for the leisure sector, we started to work closely with Sport England and local authorities and operators in the application phase of this fund. So help them to generate their templates with participation data, with financial data and facilities data in order to make this process as efficient as possible for both the local authorities and operators. Then at the same time, we have been working with Grant Thornton and Sport England in the modeling work using the data coming from DataHub, from LeisureNet survey and other sector data sources in order to project how the recovery would work and help local authorities and operators to make reliable projections for the reopening phase as well. So that was the second phase of this whole funding project. And now, as we move to the third stage of this, which is about monitoring and evaluation, we have worked with the MBS partners, with the old name, with the new name, Moving Communities partners, to create this platform, which will help with the monitoring and evaluation of the fund, but also which will provide operators and local authorities with a powerful tool to use data and insights to better manage their contracts, to help with their recovery, and also to benchmark their performance going forward as well. So as 4global and DataHub, we will be managing the data that sits behind this platform, and we'll be leading the product developments of this Moving Communities platform in an ongoing way.
Okay, that's fantastic. So that's really interesting, because obviously our LeisureNet surveys have helped provide some information around that recovery rate and the projections. And your projections were really very close, weren't they, when we came out of the first lockdown?
Yeah, I mean, it was about 98% accurate in terms of how we expected the sector to recover and what has happened in the first reopening of the sector. Obviously, this is the power of data in combination of what actually happened in the sector in the past 5-6 years that we've been following closely the sector participation rates, but also qualitative data coming from people's responses and how they feel about coming back, using sources like the LeisureNet survey, where people have expressed their concerns, their willingness to come back to the facilities. So combining these data sources and our data analytics capabilities in the business, we were able to project that pretty accurately.
It's really interesting. And I think what scares a lot of people around data is it just feels too big. It feels too difficult to use. And why we've always had such a great relationship with you guys is that ability to turn the data into insight and create the benchmarks and that ability. So how can people really make the most of this platform and not be scared of it, to actually really get some data out of it?
That's a great question. Actually, the way we defined our sector for a long time has been this sector is data rich, information poor when we have started, because there's a lot of data. I mean, probably if you look at and compare it to many other sectors, sports and physical activity sector is the one where you might find the largest data sets available. But the key is how you turn this data into intelligence. So becomes understandable for people, but most importantly, how you turn the intelligence into actionable insights so it becomes part of your decision making in an ongoing way. And I think Moving Communities platform will sit right at the heart of this decision making for all stakeholders of the sector. I think the key word here is we will be working collaboratively as a sector, from the top of the sector, Sport England, helping the sector to make a bigger impact at the government level, to all the sector key bodies like UK Active, Community UK, LGA, Active Partnerships, to actually better understand the parts of the sector they represent, and also to direct investment into the most relevant parts, and for local authorities and operators to work collaboratively, looking at the data and making better sense of what is going well, what's not going so well, where they need more support or where they can do improvements. So to get the most out of this platform, the key is working together and collaboratively and looking at the data. Of course, we shouldn't underestimate the change or the requirements for capability development and also like time that's required to make better decisions using data. But we will be working with the partners in the Moving Communities project and Sport England to provide enough training, workshops, and quarterly reports that actually summarizes this information for the local authorities and operators, and also help them better understand and how they can make decisions looking at this data. So this is a sector movement, and I think as partners, as people working in the sector, collaboration will be key to make the most out of this platform.
No, absolutely. And I think that the ideas that we've had around giving some straightforward information at the beginning of benchmarking around the 5 key areas of income and expenditure, of participation, the customer experience from the survey, the social value stuff, which will be really, really important. And then, of course, participation data. So there's going to be some really valuable stuff in there, isn't there? So how do you see this moving forward? Because in my head, this has been a really great opportunity to really generate, as you said, those actionable insights and the intelligence around the sector. So what's your hopes for the future of this this data and this insight?
I think for the future, I'm putting it into 2 main concepts. One is the recovery and the other one is scale and impact. And I'll explain how I see the 2 happening. I think on the recovery part, what we should acknowledge is, to date, this sector has never had this amount of data in a single place in a such processed format. So, I mean, as part of the Moving Communities platform, we will have data from over 1,200 facilities in the country, from 300 local authorities, both in-house and also like commercial management and trust managed facilities as well, and all amalgamated, processed, and standardized in one place. So that means, as a sector, we will be able to make both national level and local level decisions in the most accurate way using data and insight. And as you said, this has all the different parts of participation, finance, social value, customer experience, and facility management data in the most summarized way. So going back to those 2 concepts, how will it help on the recovery part? On the recovery, I think this is where we look very localized. So we can actually identify at the individual local authority area how quickly things are recovering, looking at the real-time data, where things are not recovering as fast, so there is need for more support or more intervention or more investment. So we can actually direct our investment efforts and focus in the areas or in the people that are most in need. Because this lockdown has shown us is recovery is going to be a period. It's not going to be a point in time, and it's not going to be the same for everyone. Yes, certain communities were more able to replace their activity in leisure center with alternative methods, but we know there is a large amount of people that weren't able to do that. So how do we bring the service to them, so to get them back to the activity? And also, if our offer needs to change as a leisure center operator, what's the right offer? How should we change it in a way that's most targeted to the people that are most in need? So I think from a recovery perspective, this is where we go local and targeted. But at the same time, what this COVID period has shown us is, as a sector, we need to show our scale and impact at the national level, because at the government level, what needs to be seen is leisure sector is an important partner in providing healthy and like happier citizens in the country. So our role in health and well-being shouldn't be underestimated, but this role can only be shown at the government level if we unite as a sector. And by uniting, what we need to be able to show is the depth and breadth of our sector, how it changes people's lives. It's not about just getting people out of their houses and getting them active, but it is more about how does it impact the health and well-being of the nation? How does it impact the social and community development of our nation? So how does it impact young people's performance in school and education and afterwards? So it's very important as a sector, we link physical activity and sports with the benefits in all these other parts of our life. And that's where the data will be most helpful, because we will be able to evidence that with good research and data available from the sector to show the impact of our sector. And that will help Sport England and big stakeholders to build the case with the government, because we know Treasury and DCMS will be watching our sector.
No, absolutely. And you know, the work that you guys have done in making it as simple and as straightforward to get that data in so that we can get the insight and the intelligence out is fantastic. How do you see the social value calculator being used in this product?
So social value has been a concept that's been talked a lot in the past 7-8 years. However, it's been always a challenge to put it in a clear way in front of people what that impact actually means. There has been a lot of great work that's done in the sector, especially by our partners, Sheffield Hallam University, working with Sport England to provide a national model to show the impact of physical activity. And that has started back in 2014, and it's been continuously developed in the past 6-7 years. So now, as part of Moving Communities report, we will be able to embed the social value calculator, which is showing the impact of sports and physical activity in health and well-being, in education, in reduced crime and social and community development, in monetary terms, in front of local authorities and operators, so they can look at the data and actually see what impact they are generating in all parts of people's life. I think this is for the first time at the national level, we will be able to look at this social value data in the most granular way, and both the local authorities and operators will be able to make decisions to increase this social value going forward. Like, for example, if I want to increase the health and well-being of the nation, which type of people I should target more, what should I be offering to these people, and how do I make a big change in these people's lives? Because I mean, as rightly said, this crisis is very much a physical linked to the physical inactivity. And the only way to get out of this is to keep people active, where our sector plays a huge and important role.
Absolutely. And we're almost out of time, but I'm just going to say I wish I was back being a 25-year-old manager with all of this data and insight to actually really shape the things that I did, rather than all those years ago just making things up as I went along. Got a few things right and a few things wrong, but okay, thank you so much for your time. Really useful explanation of moving communities, and thank you for all of your team's work in what you've done to create a very usable platform. So thank you for your time. Take care, and we'll see you soon.
Very much. It's great speaking to you.
Cheers.
Bye.